let's shift our attention to the grassroots, the communities that are often closest to the conflict, yes, furthest from the policies that aim to resolve them. In a country as diverse and complex as Nigeria, the need for inclusive, sustainable peace cannot be overstated. While the federal government has launched several peace initiatives and interventions, questions remain about their effectiveness, reach and relevance, especially at the grassroots level. Joining us to unpack these issues is Mr. Usman Mohammed Anache. He's a committed advocate for peace and good governance, with hands-on experience working with communities across Nigeria to build resilience, promote dialogue, and hold leaders accountable. In this conversation tonight, we'll explore his insights on how the federal government's peace efforts are playing out on the ground, where the gaps lie, and what more can be done to strengthen collaboration between policy and people. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right. So first, how would you assess the federal government's current approach to peace building and conflict resolution in Nigeria? Do you believe the federal government has a clear and consistent peace strategy, especially in conflict-prone regions?
Yes, there's a very good clear plans of solving the security problems in Nigeria today. Actually, there is a significant improvement in the security at the grassroots. So before coming of this government 2 years ago, we have so many areas in Niger State, in Kaduna, in Zamfara, in Sokoto, in Katsina that are not accessible. But today, those areas were fully accessible, despite the little problems that still remains. But the majority of the areas that are not accessible are now accessible. And the major problem that is the major cause of the insecurity is now absolutely or completely taken care of. That is the issue of food. The issue of food at the grassroots is the main issue that disturbed the grassroots. This government was able to fully bring down the price of food at the grassroots, that a local man can now feed his family with 1,000 naira or less than that. This is very, very significant improvement in the security situation, as if there is a higher cost of food, it means hunger. When there is hunger, there is no means of providing any security. And the people will not understand any meaningful development you are preaching or you are bringing or you are sensitizing to them. But today, we have a bag of maize today in Niger State at 15,000 naira compared to over 100,000 previously. So this is a very, very significant improvement. And yet, you have seen that so many crops are not to be harvested. They are still ongoing, and those who have been harvested, the price has drastically comes down. So the first thing for the common man at the grassroots is to have enough food to eat at affordable price or availability of this food. And those people that cannot go to farm previously have now go to their farms, and most of them are harvesting. I drove in a car day before yesterday, right from Suleja up to Birnin. I passed through the Niger State, I passed through all those areas. The people are there busy. Those who plant earlier are harvesting, those who plant late are now cultivating. So everything is going smoothly. So actually there's significant improvement, very, very significant in the security situation compared to previous year before coming of this government. So we have to thank the government and urge them to maintain the tempo.
That sounds very good, Mr. Anache. But in your experience with grassroots communities, how are the federal government's peace efforts perceived by these locals? Are they seen as genuine and impactful?
Yes, the grassroots are seen as genuine. As I told you earlier, their first problem is that food. So after that food, there are some initiatives for some disbursement of some money in form of distant assistance to these communities for them to engage in one business or the other. So this is for the first time, those monies were getting directly to the grassroots. You know, when previously, the money will just be announced on the television, but when you go to the grassroots, you discover that the money were being hijacked by the middlemen. But now, any community you have visited, especially here in the Northwest, you discover that the number of people that have been earmarked for some certain money to be disbursed to them, either as palliative or as assistance or as a means to start a business, has actually reached them. Unlike before, whenever there was this sort of disbursement, when we go to the grassroots, we discover that the money didn't get down to the grassroots. But now the money are getting down to the grassroots, and these people were happy. Actually, they were happy at the grassroots with this disbursement of money and the trainers and the retrainers of people to engage on small-scale businesses at the grassroots that actually develop the needs of the people. You see, maintaining of this petroleum price and even the reduction of the price also assisted our local people. Those who engage in the farming, especially who use water pumps and other things, were either having solar water pumps to water their crops, or they were having at least less price petroleum from the previous price now to water their own farms. And the advantage of this technology of these solar pumps help us greatly. And the government, both the state and the federal and some individuals, are now giving these water pumps free of charge to these masses. And for example, in Kebbi State, free fertilizer is still going on for these farmers. So they have now started engaging on preparing their lands for the for the dry season immediately after harvested. I have visited so many farms that have already removed their millet or guinea corn, and they are preparing the field for planting of either pepper or onions and the other things that they are going to cultivate in the dry season. And all is set. Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about this food crisis. How do you think government should address this?
Actually, the food crisis has already been addressed. Only that we need more additional. You know, grassroots, no matter how you reduce something, you will discover that there's somebody who cannot afford to buy that. So with the palliatives and there was the assistance of the money, and sometimes with the free grants distribution, especially in Kebbi State by the Kebbi State government, is also assisted. So we want the other state governors to emulate, even if it is not free, it will be as cheaper as cheaper than the market price, so that the common man can have something to put on his table. Because as far as the grassroots is concerned, once they can feed themselves and they move freely, they don't have hope. So as far as the grassroots is concerned, food is the most essential thing for them, and it has been provided.
All right, talking about, you just said you're urging other state governments to emulate this initiative. What state governments have fallen short so far?
Yes, you see, like in Kebbi State, in the first months of the rainy season, there was free distribution of fertilizer to farmers. It was free of charge to all farmers in Kebbi State. And there is free distribution of food when the food price is higher. So the government distributes the food free to the populace. The same thing, that free fertilizer gesture of the Kebbi State government still continues. So the governor still recently announced that it will continue for the dry season farmers. So that's why I'm calling on other state governors to emulate the Kebbi State governor, so that these farmers can provide enough food for the country, and then eliminate all the possibility of hunger. Because our fear before is that as the bandits occupy most of the arable lands, our fear is having the higher food price more than that of last year. But alhamdulillah, as the security situation improved, and with this significant change in the agricultural as we implement and the other inputs provision and the removal of the tax on agricultural implement by the federal government also increase the possibility and the availability of those implements for the farmers to cultivate more food than that.
But what more do you see, Mr. Nache? Are there gaps, particularly in terms of engaging communities at the grassroots level?
Well, yes, there's some little gaps which needs to be, even though the gaps are being now taken care of in some situations, but there is still some gap. The gap we are still having is the gap of communication and sensitization. So actually the grassroots needs to know, most of them needs to know what was given to them so that we will avoid the government giving and middlemen overtaking, which is previously being practiced. But now, with the advent of some of the organizations like ours, we used to monitor anything that the government is distributing to these people up to the level of the water level. So we do this. Recently, what was distributed, for example, in Kebbi State, was distributed up to the polling unit level. So you see, the water level will have their own warehouse where they will take their properties. Then each polling unit will have their own. So at the polling unit, the people will gather. And I'm very happy the way that the masses cooperate with this distribution, that some of them who definitely know that they didn't engage in any farming, they used to let it go. The fertilizer, let it go to the people who actually engage in the farming. So I must commend our masses for this great understanding that whenever a bags of rice, bags of fertilizer was given to 2 or 3 people, maybe 2 or 5 bags or 10 bags, those who are not engaging in farming will relinquish their own share to those who actually engage in farming. So this understanding, is based because of the sensitization. So we need to do more on the sensitization of these masses, especially on this security situation that we need to cap it off very urgently.
All right. And because the northern part of the country is still ravaged by banditry and terrorism, and governments, according to governments, peace is sacrosanct. I want us to talk about some of these peace initiatives, particularly those we've explored in this country. And to the best of my knowledge, we've explored a national peace policy launched in 2021 by the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There was National Peace Committee led by some eminent Nigerians like General Abubakar Abdusalami and Bishop Matthew Kuka. Operation Safe Corridor, which was a de-radicalization, rehabilitation and reintegration program. Now, which of these programs have had a visible impact at the grassroots level?
Actually, these programs were having an impact, but most of the time at the grass level, they were not being heard very well. People at the grassroots, sometimes when you contact them, some of them were not even aware of these initiatives. Even though, the conflicts we are facing are in different dimensions. You see, when you look at the Boko Haram issue, you look at the banditry issue in the Northwest, you look at the ISWAP issue, you look at the Lakurawa issue, you look at the Ansaru. So they have to go with the different dimension of their own forming. Like Boko Haram, Ansaru, and ISWAP, they sometimes align their own terrorism with that of religion. But like bandits in the Northwest align their banditry in financial terms of kidnapping and receiving ransom for financial stability. So anything that is attached with sometimes religion is very difficult to be actually controlled. And most of the war that has been waged, I must commend the Nigerian army because this is not a conventional war. We are fighting people within our midst. Though some of them were brought in our midst, and some of them were even aided these bandits by informing them of the situation in our villages and towns. Because if these bandits don't have informants within us, then the war will be more easy for the military. But for example, now, if the military, yes.
But do you think the federal government has invested enough in preventive peace building, or is it, mostly focused on responding after violence occurs?
You see, the problem is this. Actually, more needs to be done, because I don't see a reason why we should wait for the attack to be repelled. So I'm urging, even though recently there was a blank order by the Chief of Army Staff to all our military men. So it is very, very commendable. Unlike before, when they are waiting for order, so they are there only to defend. And in the whole warfare of the world, there's no war which was being won by defending. You have to inculcate the culture of attacking. So you have to attack the basis of those bandits, not waiting for the bandits to attack, then the military will repel the attack. Repelling the attack will one day allow the bandit to penetrate your defensive line. So don't wait for only. So there's no way. There's a very possible way to do it in two ways: repelling and at the same time attacking.
I asked the question because they say peace processes succeed when they balance state power with local participation. They say reconciliation is not an event, it's a continuous, inclusive process backed by political will. From your own end, what specific reforms or policy shifts would you recommend to make the federal government's peace effort more effective? In less than 1 minute, Mr. Nachi.
Yes, the federal government peace effort to me is welcome. It's a little bit yielding positive result. But you see, the problem is that if there's local negotiation with any bandit or whatever, I have the suggestion that any bandit that is negotiation for peace should surrender their weapons. So this is obvious, and this is must. Provided the weapons were not surrendered, it is only mere talking, not real negotiation.
All right, then.
I support it.
All right. Usman Mohammed Anache, Grassroots Advocacy for Peace and Good Governance. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight on Politics Tonight, and thank you so much for your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we've heard from Mr. Anache about the realities on the ground, where peace isn't just a policy, but a daily struggle for survival, dignity, and justice. From the challenges of implementing government initiatives to the powerful role grassroots advocacy plays in bridging the gap between the people and the state. Our conversation tonight has reminded us that sustainable peace requires more than declarations. It demands real inclusive action. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumo Kedobu using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I am Olajumo Kedobu. That's NG. Good night, everyone.